So it's been a while since I've done an update, and I thought I would cover how I converted my SRRV visa deposit to lease a lot in land, which is something you can think about doing here. Uh, One thing is I filed it, even though I live in Cebu, I filed it actually. I traveled to Manila to do it because I thought it might be faster rather than taking it to Cebu and then they take it to Manila and then there's a long process. So I'm actually glad I did, because in the process what happens is you have to email the PRA first and check and make sure you get the most current docs. They have three sets of documents that you have to have: your contract with the person lending or leasing you the property, one for them, one for you, different one, and then another letter that says that they want an addendum added to the property that says that you actually have leased it for 25 years and it can't be sold, or nothing can happen without your approval. So I got the emails. I got them from the PRA. They sent them to them in a Word format. They wanted me to update it with my information, which I did. And then what they ask is that you send it to them along with just a photocopy of the title that verifies the CTC number and the actual address of the place you're leasing and who the owner is. So it doesn't have to be an official copy. It's just a regular photocopy. So I did all that. I sent it in. They asked me to make a few changes. They said, "Can you put it in dollars and pesos?" Because it was just dollars in the contract. And I thought, well, okay. But I don't know what difference it makes because the peso changes from day to day. But I just used the current day's peso rate, updated it, and then sent it back. They approved it, so it's good to go. I went ahead and printed it out. You have to get it notarized. So I went to a local notary to get it notarized. And one thing I found out right away is, if you read the documentation, what it says, what you're signing, the minimum lease agreement approved by the PRA is $50,000 over the time period. The other thing it says is, if you read through the document, which you're not supposed to change, it says pay immediately upon signing. So whatever this amount of this money is, you're supposed to have it right away. So that's one thing. But what I found out is when you go to different notaries to have this thing notarized, some of them just charge a standard fee to notarize it. Other ones look at the price of the contract and it's over $50,000 in value. They want to charge you like 20,000 pesos in order to do the notary, because it's based on the value. So first notary I went to, that's what they said, and I said, okay, thanks a lot, and we left. Went to another notary, which is another lawyer's office, and they looked at it and said, yeah, there's a standard 500 peso fee per document, 3 documents, 1,500 pesos. I said, okay, good to go. So I got it done. I went and took it to Manila. I got the PRA. Everything worked pretty smooth. It's easy to get there. It's just at the BDO Tower in Makati. And I like to stay at the City Garden Hotel, which is just 2 blocks away, and they got some pretty reasonable rates. So I stayed there for a couple days anyway. I went there, and good thing I did, because I went there, they looked at the paperwork, and they went, oh, there's a problem with one of the documents. And I said, what's that? And they said, you have the wrong manager's name for the PRA on here. We got a new manager now, so this one has to be redone. And I said, well, I can't take it back all the way to Toledo now and fly back for one doc. He goes, no, we can just change the doc for you, get a new one, and we can get it notarized downstairs for 300 pesos. So I said, okay. So the one letter only had my signature on it, so I went ahead. They printed it, I re-signed it, they notarized it downstairs, and it was good to go. Okay, so then it was submitted. So now they say we have to schedule ocular inspection with the local office. So I thought, oh God, how long is that going to take? Well, in about 3 weeks, I got a notification from a lady that says, I'm coming in from Cebu to Toledo. Where do you live? Give me directions. I'm coming out to your house. So she gave me a date. She came out. I met her at the McDonald's, picked her up, took her to my house. And to my surprise, it didn't take long, but she photographed the property. She looked through all the land and everything, took pictures of everything, went to the inside, took pictures of every house, checked the bedroom, make sure all my clothes were there, and make sure I've lived there for sure. And she says, oh, okay, you've moved in. I said, yeah, I've been here for a while. So she went through and did all that. And then she says, all right, you'll be getting a letter from me within a couple of days with my inspection being submitted to Manila, and then you can go ahead and start the paperwork. And I said, okay. Well, then I emailed her a few days later, and she says, yeah, I'm on vacation. I'll get it done pretty quick. And all in all, it took about another 3 weeks. So 3 weeks, I went ahead and did it. I got the letter email. I printed it out. I took it back to the PRA. They wanted all official documents, so this time what they wanted, I contacted them ahead of time. They gave me a letter that said, here's your official letter that you have to take to your local title place, in your barangay, and have an addendum added to the title. It says, and they give a complete statement that they have that it goes on. It says you're the owner and what all the conditions are. Then you have to get a certified true copy of it, and then send it to us, which I went ahead and took it to them anyway. And then we'll start the paperwork for getting you your money. So I took it. I got the letter. I took it to the local branch, the local courthouse here. They put it in. They told me to be ready in about a week. It was ready in about 2 weeks. I got a certified true copy, which cost me another, I think it was 400 pesos. And it only took 2 days to get that. I took that to the PRA. I sent that to the PRA Express. And then they notified me within, I think it was 4 weeks, that my check was ready to be picked up at the bank. And so I asked, I said, does the person that the check is made out to, is it made out to them? Is it made out to me? How does it work? And they said, oh no, it's made out to the person that you're leasing from. But they have to be there at the bank. I said, oh, okay. So I made arrangements for this person to come with me. And we flew all the way to Manila because we had to go to the bank that you put your deposit in originally. And they gave me a letter. I presented the letter to the bank. The lady looked at it. It took about 40 minutes for them to verify everything. They said it was a hang-up because we always call the PRA and get one more confirmation that this is required and this is real. And I said, okay. And the person was at lunch, so we had to wait. And then she said, okay, it's confirmed. Here's your check. And I said, oh, do you have to see this lady that owns the property? And I said, no, she doesn't have to be here. The check is made out to her. So I said, okay. So I got the check and left, and that was it. So all in all, the total process took me probably about 7 weeks to get done. And the only surprise was I didn't realize that there was a minimum spend on this lease of $50,000. I asked him, I said, how do I verify that I've paid this lady the rest of the money and all that? And they said, we don't really concern ourselves with that. If there's some kind of a payment issue after this happens, they'll file a case against you, or some action will be taken and brought to our attention, and then we'll resolve it at that time. And I said, oh, okay, well, so thanks. So that was it. So I got the check. I took it back, gave it to the lady. Assumed she cashed it. And then that was it. We got the rest of it straightened out, and now I've leased the property for 25 years. Now, one thing it does say in the agreement, if you read through it, it says when you lease the property and when you turn it over, it has to be in the same condition that when you got it. So you've got to maintain the property for the entire 25 years and make sure it's in good condition for turnover. So it's more than just leasing the property and doing what you want. I mean, you've got to invest in maintenance and everything else just as if you really own this place. And it does have a provision in there. It says, hey, what happens if I die? What happens to this thing? And there's a thing in the contract that says if you die, who do you want to give this lease to for the remainder of the period? So you can actually pick anybody you want, even somebody in the States, and say this person will get it after I'm gone, and they actually will then be the temporary owners of this property for the remainder of the lease. So this is just the first of a couple of things I've been up to lately, and I thought I'd get this one out just to kind of get my videos back online and see how things are going. And I have a couple more. I've got quite a few things that have happened along with my updating my what they call restamping of my SRRV visa and putting it in a new passport. And you know what? There's some hitches with that too. It's easy and it's not that easy. There's a couple of things you got to know. Otherwise, you'll have problems later on. So I'll do another video on that one. That's another one that's kind of interesting because this time I didn't update anything by going back to the States. And I live way out in the province, so I updated my passport from a remote area, actually, and I was kind of worried that things wouldn't work out, but it worked out fine. So, okay, until next time, thanks for watching the video.